On this point, we can already start with the new rules. So I would hand over to Sebastian Seewald. He's in charge of our new rules, and he will present them to you. So, Sebastian?
That's correct, yeah. Yeah, thank you, Konrad. I think I need somebody switching to my laptop, and maybe I also want to use this headset here. So if you give me 2 minutes, I need help with this. I don't find the on-off switch, so that's basic stuff you should have on it. So while this is prepared, I want to start with a small survey, and I ask everybody to raise his or her hands if you saw the Twitter tweet about the new rules. Okay. And who has a Twitter account but didn't see the tweet? And who is not following us on Twitter? That's the okay. Okay. We have found the reason for the problem. Can you hear me? Yes, wonderful. Thank you. So, where's my pen though? Where's my pen? Form your student G. That's our Twitter name, and I would ask everybody to follow us there, because in motorsport it's quite important to be always a bit quicker than the others, and Twitter for us is an important channel to inform you in front of the or prior to the competition, but also on the competition directly. And therefore, you might have a small benefit when you follow us on Twitter, and it's maybe also easing up your life. So I will note this down that you don't forget. Follow us on Twitter at Formula Student G. Okay, so I'm hoping to see the amount of followers increase significantly now after this speech. Coming to the rules, when I think back about my time in Formula Student, the rules were always something where I need to read so many pages, and it's not really fun to do this, and I want to spend my time with building a race car and not with reading a lot of text. So the thing is, we could leave out the rules and everybody just builds a race car. But the problem then is, if you come to Hockenheim in August, somebody has built a race car which is maybe really fast, but only for 2 laps. And the other one is participating in the race thinking that it will last 24 hours. And then you have a problem. And so basically what you need is guidelines setting the borders in which you can build your race car. And these guidelines, these are the rules. The rules. And the rules are necessary to do all this, to have the fun of building a race car and competing against each other. You need them, so in the end, you cannot get around. And although it's on top of this, it's good to know them quite deeply. So we can note down the rules are necessary, and you should know them. Okay. As you might have seen, we published a new rules document on Thursday evening, and for the first time for a Formula Student, this is completely standalone and no longer linked to the FSAE rules. And what was the intent of this? First of all, although the document looks a lot different, we have the intent to stay in line with the competitions which are following the FSRE rules. So if you build a car based on our rules or based on their rules, the difference in the car should not be too big. So with small adaptations, which were also necessary in the past, especially when you, as a European team, went to the Michigan event, it should be possible to participate there. I remember from the past we were welding new tubes or interchanging tubes in our frame to be able to participate in Michigan. The Graz team, they got a lot of penalties because they went to Michigan in the year where the template rule was enforced with penalties for the first time. So basically, because you have this switch in between years anyway, if you as a European team come to Michigan, also in the past there were quite deep adaptations necessary to your car, and so this is nothing fully new, which will be introduced just by these rules. We will go through the separate rules more in detail later, and then I hope that I can point out that the differences are not as big as they might seem on the first view. Anyway, if you have any constructive feedback, you're very welcome to send this to us. You have the URL, which is called formyourstudent.de/feedback, and there a form opens where you can select on which topic you want to give us feedback, and one topic is the rules, and then you can send us something. But remember, it's a one-way communication because we don't see who is giving us the feedback. So if you just write the new rules are not good, there's nothing much we can do with this feedback. But if you say, within this rule, if I build it exactly like you describe, I have exactly this and that problem, then we might do something, because the rules, we can change them. Huh? If there is a problem, we will solve it, but therefore we need to know, of course. The feedback, I write it down. Feedback should be detailed and constructive. And the other way of speaking to us about the rules, and this is then also a two-way communication, this is the rules tracking tool on our homepage. If you're logged in, you see it directly as a link on the main site, and if you click it, you have a possibility to ask a question to really a specific rule, and you will also get an answer then from us. So maybe you use the feedback form for more general stuff, or if you find a typo or whatever, and if you have a technical question concerning a specific rule, then you should use the rules tracker. Another thing is these rules that we published, they will not just be used by FSG next year, but also by other European competitions. And if you follow Twitter, which you should do, as I mentioned already, you see that FS Austria is also using these rules in the next year, which was announced just this night. And as I already said, there will be other European competitions following. So if you just participate in these, there's no need to change your car at all. Yes, so I have this and this and this. No. So what was the idea about the rule change? Why did we even did this effort to change them? First of all, it's about structure. All right, round structure. And if we take a look, first of all, you have this column here, which is also helping you to navigate through the document. And you see there is some chapters which are known. And there is also some new chapters, especially the one which is called Technical Inspections. And in there, you have all these little tests which took place exactly like this also in the years before, but they were spread all over the document, or maybe even in a separate document, and you never knew exactly what is tested and how and in which order and so on. So adding this chapter is hopefully, and this was the intent, helping you to have an overview about what to do to be able to compete. And so basically, first is some administrative stuff. Then you have the technical requirements, which are the same for all cars. Then you have specific rules, which are only valid if you use an internal combustion engine. You can skip this chapter if you're building an electric car. Other way around for electric cars. The driverless vehicles is an on-top chapter for everybody building a driverless car. So if you build a driverless car, you need the general tech. You need the chapter which is suitable for your drivetrain, and you need the driverless vehicle chapter to read. Then you have the technical inspection, the statics, and the dynamics. And within the text, like already on this page here, sometimes there is a mark, combustion vehicle, electric vehicle, or DV is driverless vehicle. And then you see, okay, noise test needs only to be done by a combustion car. So all the other chapters, they are not split for the different classes. It's just if there is any difference, it's marked in this way. So do I have anything more to the structure? Yes. Within the document, it's all linked. So you could use either these bookmarks to navigate through the document, or if there is a link like here, I can click on it, and then I'm already. Can I? Yeah. Then I'm already at this rule, and then just a top tip, which I learned some weeks ago: if you press the Alt key and the left arrow, you come back to the old place. So normally, if you don't know this, it's not so beneficial to have the links, because then you can read, but you don't come back. But I learned this, and I was really happy this day. Alt plus left arrow. That's if you don't learn anything from my speech, just keep this in mind. It's working in every PDF document. It's easing up your life a lot from now on. And then, last but not least, concerning the structure of the document, of course, there's a lot of abbreviations, which are typical from your student, but maybe at the beginning you're not familiar with all of them. So I'm just scrolling through if I find one. Because all these abbreviations, like here, the ETC system, they are also links. If I click on them, I come to a list of abbreviation, and just at the top you see ETC means electronic throttle control. So you do not need to search within the document for the place where ETC is defined, because it's all in this abbreviation point. Well, so I'm hoping that you all agree that the structure of this document is an improvement compared to what we had before. Next point is the reduction of the sheer amount of text. So if you see, it's 126 pages, including the driverless regulations. If you do the job of counting the words or the letters, you see it's just 60% of the form your student FSAE rules. So I think this is nice, because in the beginning we saw reading is not so much appreciated. It's rather the race cars why we are all here, and you spare some time reading there, which you can spend with the race car. So how did we manage to come down in size? There was a lot of double things in the old rules, which could simply be deleted, and there was also a lot of possibilities to slim down. the rules. For example, let me check, I have made a note. If you build a steel space frame, in the old rules there was a long chapter about what tubes you can use. First they say you need to use this metric or this imperial unit tube, and later on they said, yeah, but you can reduce to this minimum wall thickness if you still keep the inertia moment and so on. In the end, what we did is we said for these, and I jumped to this, I just need to check. It's in T2.3, T2.3, where are we? Yes. So if you have a main hoop, it must be 2 millimeters and has this moment of inertia. And two other groups, that's it. There's no change at all to the meaning of the rules. The cars will exactly look the same, but it's 5 pages less and also easier for you to understand. So, reduce amount. Reduce amount. We have it. Good. Next thing is clarify. Some of the wording within the rules, it was, I mean, there was a bit of room for improvement, we could say. And one example for this is for example, the rule we have for changing in between wet and dry tires for endurance and for the dynamic events in general. It was also some pages before, and now it is a simple table which is included in here. The meaning hasn't changed at all, but it's 2 pages less of text. And it should also be clearer to understand. So, point is proven, clarify, we manage. And it's of course not just about the tires, it's in many places in the rules where it should help you. If maybe it's your first year of participation, you read this and hopefully, if not, send us feedback, you understand much more easy what is meant. And all these can be done without changing the content at all. And this was also our intent on these topics. So next thing is sorting. There is, for example, as you all know, it's a 0.0 per mil alcohol event, other than this one, by the way. Yeah, now you know it, but now you forgot to bring beer. Sorry, maybe next time. And this rule was in the old rule, it was at dynamics, but you cannot be drunk working on the car as well. So this point is shifted into the beginning chapter now, and it's just one example for a lot of points which were at a position in the old rules where you thought, now I need a push bar, okay, but it's not in technical and so on, and this we try to improve a lot, just to help you. No other intent than helping you. Done. What else do we got? We have a big point which is called adapt to reality. What does this mean? One example is the faculty advisor. I mean, you are all big. You know how to build a race car on your own. You can come to the event or to the competition your own, and you manage to deal with everything which is needed on site. So basically there's no need for a faculty advisor. So that's why you don't find a faculty advisor in these rules. It's maybe some faculty advisors which are disappointed, but we don't do the event for faculty advisors, we do it for you. Another point is the cost rules. Which we will hear about in a separate presentation later. in some years ago, it was all about Photoshop within the cost rules. You had to hand in bills for every part, and of course, if you had a bit of skill in Photoshop, you could maybe make a 1 out of a 9 and so on, and you were scoring more points because the overall cost of the vehicle had a decent scoring, and this was already reduced. But what we came to in the last years was basically a task of finding the right definition on how you would classify a part or how you would manufacture something, and this was not really the intent of the cost. The intent of the cost report is that you really look into the costs and also the manufacturing, which is combined when you build such a vehicle. So therefore, in the new rules, and as I say, Sebastian, the other Sebastian, he will tell you more in detail later, there's no points for the cost of the car at all. There's just points for the accuracy, how you point out what the actual costs of the prototype vehicle are. So for the first time in Formula Student history, you have to really think about costs, and you don't have to lie, which I think is a big improvement, and it's adapting to the reality of the past, where this was a big hoax in the end. So I ticked this one as well, and I think I have another example, which is the flags. Yeah, the flags at the dynamic event. Yeah, I mean, it's a big news, but please, can I ask for some silence? The flags in the dynamic events, in the end, they were used completely different also in the past years than it was written in the rules. And this is now also adapted to reality. So if you read the rules about how the flags are used, that's how they're going to be used on the event. For example, if you enter a passing zone during endurance, at the end of the passing zone you get a green flag, and then you're ready to continue. And this was always done like this, but it was never part of the rules. It was also only saying green flag is for starting, but it was just not complete, and it was just different in the rules than what we actually did. So this should also help you to get along with the competing. Next big point is to ease up the scrutineering and the technical inspection. So if you have competed already in Hockenheim, you know in the past it was a bit of a problem, it was a bit of a bottleneck to get all the cars through scrutineering in time, that you have enough time before you need to compete in the first dynamic event. And one reason for this is that because of the rules grew bigger and bigger, and some years ago there were no aerodynamics. Now most of the cars use aerodynamics, and this all needs to be checked in technical inspection. And this makes the time longer. The scrutineers need to check your car. And this is also because the rules define the borders of what you can do and what you can't in a way which is difficult to measure for the scrutineers. And the intent of some rule changes, which also affect aerodynamics, it's understood this point. The intent of this is that it's easier to measure, because I remember an event which was not in Germany, where there was a big problem with measuring aerodynamics, because in the end, if you reference the tires for what is a given borderline for a part, the tires can change. They have wear. You change your suspension setup, whatever, and we want to avoid this, to give us a better way of measuring, and also more clarity to you, that you can know, okay, I'm legal, and it will not change its width, and then I'm fine also after the endurance. So I say, ease up tech inspection. Last point on this list is some parts are used on electric and combustion cars. For example, low voltage batteries. And there were different rules for low voltage batteries in electric cars and in combustion cars. It's making no sense, and so it's deleted, and you find the low voltage battery rules within the general technical chapter now. Although what we did is, if you use a lithium iron phosphate accumulator for the low voltage, it's again allowed to not use a BMS on these, because the cells are much safer than the normal lithium polymer cells. And if you, basically the rule that you need a battery management system for every kind of LiPo and LiFePO pack was forcing every team to say, okay, if I need it anyway, I take the lighter cells, and then some cars took fire. So now if you maybe don't have the manpower to do this, you can get most of the benefit by just using a lithium iron phosphate pack compared to a standard battery without the risk of burning your car, basically. So there we came back a bit, and we freed up for you the choice. But of course, if you go to FSAE event with this, they will probably not allow it. But changing the low voltage battery should be possible, I would say. If you think different, I can just say send us feedback. So this was the point, match CV and EV. Done. What else do we have? Safety. Yeah, always the officials are always talking about safety, so I cannot leave out this point. The tractive system active light is just for the electric cars. It was red when there was high voltage on, and it was off when there was high voltage off. But it was also off if it was not working, or the cable was ripped, or whatever. So basically, if just the light was off, oh, what's now? The light was off, yeah, no. Konrad, help me. The teams cannot follow if they don't see my written, thank you. It was just stupid. And so there is a new color introduced for the tractive system active light, which is green. And if it's light green, we know the car knows what it is, and it is safe. And if it's red, it's like before. And if it's off, also we need to use caution. So this is a point we changed. And I'm not sure if any other event which is following not these rules will have a problem with the green light. They need to decide. But also I think it's not a big change for you to maybe deactivate this functionality if you go somewhere else. Safety improved. What else have we got? Points. There was a change in the point allocation for the new rules of the FSAE. We didn't do this. I don't know what's your opinion about giving more points to design and taking less for endurance is. Our point was that there is no need for change. I thought there is some standing ovations on this point, but do you like the race cars, or do you like just talking about it? Okay, I hope we met your wishes on this one here. What else do we got? Within this document, especially in the first chapter, we have some external links which are referencing a different document which we'll be publishing soon, and this is called the Competition Handbook. And basically everything which is done a bit different in Germany, in Austria, and somewhere else, This is not part of these main rules. This will be in an external source. It's about competition dates, what is the deadline for this and that document. Of course, it's different for all the events, so therefore it's not part of this. This competition handbook will be published soon, and all which is in there has no effect on how you're going to build the car, because you don't use a different engine if you know, oh, I need to hand in the cost documents 2 days earlier than I thought. So this should not affect you, and it's helping to not blow up this document, because the more competitions are participating and using this, the more we would need to add that the competition language is English here and also here, and here it's also something else. We don't want to do this, because we saw that this was leading to a big amount of unneeded words in the document. So let's look a bit more in detail into the different chapters, starting from the top. We have the administrative chapter. I already said there you won't find any faculty advisor. You will find a lot of points still assigned to endurance. Basically, there's no big changes by this chapter. Also, we try to make it much more clearer for you when to hand in which additional document, like the impact attenuator data, the business plan, executive summary, and so on. And also not just when to hand in, but also this will be exactly specified in the external document, but also if you hand in too late, what will be the penalties? Because this was handled differently for each document, and was a big mess basically, and this should be sorted now. So coming to the next more important part, general tech. I touched some points already. What I want to say, aero is a big point. We know this. If you send us constructive feedback, we still have the possibility to adapt, but it must be really detailed and constructive for us to be really helpful. We have no jacking point on the car because it was not used anyway on track. If the vehicle needs to be moved on track after stalling or what, it was never used. So there's still the need to have a push bar. There's still the need to have the quick checks to put your car in the air. But how you manage this, it's up to you. It doesn't need to have the checking point. Of course, if you want to go somewhere else where other rules are used, probably you need to bolt it on just that it's there. Yeah, at least for the next year maybe. We don't allow alternative frame rules, which we have never allowed, also in the past. So it's not part of this rule, but it's no change to what FSG is doing anyway. The SES, it will stay the same. It will stay in line completely. It will be exactly the same. For the impact attenuator, we require dynamic testing, which we already did last year. So also no change. There's for ground clearance, there's a need to have 30 millimeters of ground clearance with the driver seated in a static scenario. And if you match this, and if you don't build active suspension, which is lowering your car as soon as you go into autocross, then you can be sure that you will not be disqualified by touching the ground. This is also a clear rule, easy to measure, and clear to you. If I meet this, I don't have to fear being disqualified, which was a bit of an issue in last years. You need to have, Anna is coming later, no 5-point belts are allowed anymore, hopefully not restricting you too much. I think there's not much teams using them anyway. And also the rule for the head restraint has changed a bit, but it's also, I think, easy to adapt if you go somewhere else, or to build your head restraints directly meeting all the requirements from these rules and also from the FSAE rules without compromising the performance of your car, of course. Next chapter, for the combustion engines, the FSAE rules, they increased the displacement so that you are more free to choose an engine. We also increased it to infinity, because basically you can take whatever engine you want. The power is limited by the restrictor anyway. So if you want to build in a 5-liter V8, if you think it's a good idea, you can do it. But then you might get problems if you want to participate in Michigan. Yeah? But I think it's not compromising the car too much if you know before that you cannot use the 5-liter V8 because you want to go to Michigan, and then you're comparing in Hockenheim to all the other teams. Yeah. Electronic throttle control is completely renewed to be closer to what the electric vehicles have anyway, and also to make it easier to scrutinize, easier for you, safer for the vehicle. There is a shutdown circuit, which was part of the electric vehicles, is now also introduced into the combustion vehicles. So there are several conditions, like a crash sensor, which is new to the combustion vehicles, the brake over travel switch, and the master switches. They basically all are linked by this shutdown circuit, and either of these could just open it, and then the car needs to shut down. I think it's, as you are all engineers, easy to do, and it's not compromising the performance of the car if you go to an event which is not asking for this. What else do we have? Just touching the most important bits. The catch can size is 100 milliliters. I think it was 50 and now it's 500 for the FSAE rules, but also you find some place in your vehicle, and it's anyway a really light part, and you just it's not making a big difference in the end if you need to fulfill the other requirements. And one thing which is maybe a bit more if you design your vehicle different, the low voltage battery, it must not be on the side of the firewall where the driver is, because we had the low voltage battery fires in the past, at least at some cars, and then of course it's not really good idea to have it inside the driver compartment. So this we changed for the driver safety, and this is something, if you build your battery on the safe side of the firewall, you can compete in every event worldwide. Electric vehicles, there's an introduction of what we call safety critical signals. And basically what you need to do is to do an error handling on all of these signals which might affect the power which is routed to the wheel. Because if a sensor falls off, if a cable breaks or whatever, it should not be the case that this car is then entering undesired state, like, for example, full throttle. And this is in the end is something which is anyway good engineering practice to do so, also for your safety. And this is now directly also written in the rules. And if you do this, again, you can participate everywhere worldwide. I said already about the green tractive system active light. There is a minimum height for the master switches of 80 centimeter. Should not be too difficult to meet these rules. And when you do so, you can also go to America with these master switches, no problem. And there is some specifications about the conditions to check if you put on the TSRL into red mode concerning the pre-charge circuit. Yeah, it's a safety thing, and it's it's again not stopping you from competing anywhere else. Next chapter, driverless, completely new, will be handled in other presentations. So I skipped this. Content should be more or less clear what is the intent of it, and in detail, the colleagues know much better than me. Technical inspections, I also touched this one. Completely new chapter, just helping you seeing better what is meant and what is needed to get all your stickers. Static events, no changes in design event. Cost event, I said already, no hoaxing anymore. No points for cost, just for accuracy. And there will also be a discussion comparable to the design event, but with a topic of cost and manufacturing, which is giving 50 points. So it's coming closer to design, just with a different topic. But also there will be a presentation where this is shown in detail. And for the business plan presentation, there's one change. The old rule said that you need to presentate to people who represent people from the automotive industry, and now we say you present to people who have money, and your task is to get the money from them. So it's more free for you to think about not just about your presentation, but also about the definitions, who the people are. Are they maybe leaders of whatever, Arabian Emirates, or are they Elon Musk, or whoever? Yeah? Dynamics, last chapter, and maybe you even have some time for question afterwards. A change in driver limitation. Within the old rule, it was possible to have one driver doing skid pad, acceleration, and autocross. I don't know if everybody was aware of this because it was really complicated in the wording. So we tidied that up. You have 4 or up to 6 drivers, and you can do 2 events per driver. It should not be a big difference, but it's a lot less of text, and it's much more clearer because why should you do it that complicated? Yeah, I mean, skid pad is still a skid pad. Acceleration is still 75 meters, and no big changes in the end. Really good because I'm at the end of my part, and we can start with questions. And you were first, so.
Is the efficiency event an event? So is the driver allowed to do autocross and endurance? Or
Yes.
Endurance and, okay.
Yeah.
Sebastian, can you maybe repeat the questions?
Yeah.
For the following questions, I come to you and give you the microphone so everyone hears the question.
The question was if one driver can do autocross and endurance, and the answer is yes, because endurance and efficiency are considered to be one event when you say that each driver can just do 2. So there's no change compared to the past. Okay, other questions?
Yeah, Sebastian, first of all, thank you for the overview. And I think now we move to the whole rule set again, and it's not only questions about dynamics.
Yeah, sure.
You can feel free now to ask all your questions you have to these new 2017 rules.
I mean, I said they are much clearer now, so...
They are, but we have one question left, so...
Can you explain why 8 screws are required for the impact attenuator?
To stay in line with the others is it really 8? Yeah, it's to stay in line with the others because this would be quite intrusive change if you have a monocoque or so, and you need to have just 4 here and 8 somewhere else. Maybe in the future.
Okay, thank you. Next question. This thing with making the rules clearer.
Yeah, it worked out really well, I have to say. Ah, there's a question.
There is no part about the front wing representative in the EA Attenuator report. Is that on purpose?
I don't know, I have to say. I don't know. I need to ask expert on this one. If you ask the question in the rules tracker, you get an answer. Or if I can find someone, I can come back to you later on this one. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. There was one more here.
Is you as well a question? Or? Yeah, I can repeat. Just ask me.
Yeah, last year there was a...
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Last year there was a lot of issues with measuring the ground clearance the right way.
Yeah.
Or really measure it at all. So, because otherwise there was some difference in the ground and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, is there any improvement or any ideas how to do this the better way next year?
Yeah, I mean, before you enter the dynamic event, there will be a wooden part which has exactly the height of 30 millimeters, and your car needs to be able to go over it without touching. And if this is okay, you can do the dynamic event. And if it's still okay when you exit the dynamic event, and if you have no active devices which are lowering your car, then no matter if you touch the ground or not, you're okay.
So you will measure it at the same spot, before and after?
The question is, we need to check if this is always possible, because for autocross, exit and entry is not exactly the same. But we take this as a remark, and we try to do it like this, because then it's absolutely clear. But yeah. Okay,
because in scrutineering or in the pits, you measure the really different ground clearance.
Yes, I mean, I agree that depending on the exact level of the ground, and if you go exactly completely to the last millimeter, it can be problematic. So we try to do it, to measure it always at the same spot. But maybe it's also not too bad of an idea to maybe use 2 millimeters of margin.
2 millimeters is not enough.
Yeah.
We tried that.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. And then there was the question if there is allowed to use 2 LED stripes for the TSR. And the rule says that you can use more than or several LEDs, but they all need to be in the same housing. Yeah.
Okay, next question here.
This year you added a rule for the pretty much an accumulator indicator light, and it says that the light has to be directly by the connector, but battery connector, and it has to be visible while disconnecting or connecting. And my question is, does this mean that having wiring to the connector is not allowed anymore?
There I need an expert, but he's in the room. Simon, where is he? Is he not? Or Sarah, do you know? He just left the room. Find Simon. He will be presenting the scrutineering as well, and he can answer you this one. But for me, it's too specific.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
He has a green shirt and this green scrutineering shirt. Sorry that I don't know the answer myself, but it should be possible to get this to you today. Okay, was it 2:30 or 2:45?
2:45. We have some minutes left, so you still have the chance to have questions. Okay, there we have one.
For the belt attachment point test, it says that it has to be the test normal to the surface of what you're testing, but it also says that it has to be in the closer configuration of how it's going to be working in your car. So if in our car it's working parallel, the force, and we have to test it normal. It's not really similar, so what should we do then?
Yeah, also this is too specific to answer for me, unfortunately. I need to ask you because unfortunately there's no one for mechanics here. I can phone up somebody and come to you with an answer later. Yeah. So I note this down. I note down that we should measure the ground clearance. I note it down here. Ground clearance. We take this as a hint for the measure at the same spot. And testing of belt. I can read this later, trust me. Attachment. Konrad, da hinten sind noch zwei.
So, there we go. Hidden behind the camera.
Hi, in rule T7.7.2, there is the force applied at a point. How will it be measured at the tech inspection?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. T7 point, sorry, can you repeat?
7.2.
7.72?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a new rule to, maybe the values are a bit different, but you mean about the deflection or you mean about the applyment of the force? So
Yeah, the appliement of the force. Will it be a hook or what will it be?
Yeah, I mean, it can be a hook if it's about pulling, but if it's about pushing, it will be maybe something different. In the end, you need to have a proper, rigid aerodynamics. If you have it, you will pass scrutineering. It's difficult to write rules on these. So this is basically a rule where you can, as a scrutineer, say, okay, if this is not looking really proper and it looking to flex a lot and maybe even to fall off, then you have something to tell it's not working. But it's difficult to really come up with clear testing points and clear forces, and that was an issue in the rules before as well. And I think this rule, or maybe a bit different number, is the same like last year. Yeah. Or is it a sufficient answer for you then?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, next question here.
How comes that the lowest point in the cockpit has to be in the front?
In the front, what do you mean in front?
In the front of the cockpit.
You mean before the main hoop, or you mean in the driver's feet area, or how? What rule are you referencing?
The rule is T2.16.2. And that says that the lowest point in cockpit has to be right, there, the picture.
No. It means the picture is meant for you to position where the side impact structure has to be. And this is referencing the lowest point in the cockpit. And this can be wherever within the cockpit. It doesn't need to be in the front.
Okay.
Yeah?
Thanks.
So, another question here.
Hello. In Rule A3.3, arguments with officials, this gives me some worries because I'm wondering how I'm supposed to draw my point and explain myself to an official if it's going to be a discussion and I'm going to be eliminated from the competition. So where do you gonna draw the line?
This is a takeover from the old rules. It is no change. And argument means when it goes beyond facts.
Okay.
So if you stay calm, this will not be applied, this rule, of course.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 2 more questions here.
Do drivers have to be registered to the university of the team, or can they also be from a university that does not have a Formula Student team themselves?
There's no restriction from which university the drivers need to come, like before.
Okay.
Thank you. Next one here.
We would like to ask about the aero package dimensions. We understand that it's very important to measure the dimensions precisely. Although, for example, changing the position of the rear wing, you decrease the efficiency, the usage of the rear wing pretty much. And compared to other races, that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah, I agree on this one. I touched already on the intent of easy measuring. It's also to match electric vehicles and combustion vehicles, because the electric vehicles must meet the visibility of the TSIL, and therefore normally they cannot build the wing as high as the combustion engine cars. That's why we came up with this rule proposal. We will check and see what it really means, and if you give us detailed feedback via the rules tracker, everyone who has a problem with this, it's helping, and then we will revise and think about it again. And anyway, there will be small adaptations done to the rules, which is not affecting how you build the car, but it's correcting of some typos and so on. And so if we decide, based on the feedback, to change anything which is affecting the design of the aerodynamics in a larger way, you will know within the next weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have more questions? There is one.
So in rule T 2.21, it says that no non-crushable objects are allowed in the impact attenuator zone.
Yeah.
And there's some examples for non-crushable objects,
Yeah.
but there's no clear definition, and also there's no clear definition of the impact attenuator zone. So perhaps you could explain that or include a definition for this.
Yeah, the impact attenuator zone is meant to be the zone in front of the anti-intrusion plate where the impact attenuator is located. And non-crushable objects, I agree, it's not fully defined, but it's an object which is non-crushable. But I cannot tell you a force for this, and maybe if you apply enough force, you can crush every object. In the old rules, it was a bit, maybe you can have some of the parts in there and so on, and we want to make it clear. So stay away out of the zone with all your brake calipers and what else you might have. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. We have 2 more questions here. We start on this side.
Is it allowed to change the connectors of the IMD to board-to-board connectors by soldering?
Again, Simon is there.
So I think there's a mic somewhere.
When you speak, I think it's...
Okay. So you want to change the connectors on the IMD? In general, no. Because the IMD is certified and you aren't allowed to change it.
Yeah, because it's low active. So if I cannot manage to change the connectors correctly, it will open the shutdown circuit.
Yeah, but you have to solder on a certified PCB, and that's not allowed. Sorry.
Okay. And there was another. Was it your rule touching the electric? Then you can answer this one as well. Can you phrase it, please, or tell it again?
Then it's 2 questions. First, the first question I asked regarding the accumulator indicator light.
Yeah.
The new rule says that it has to be right besides the connector, right next to the connector while disconnecting or connecting it. Does this mean that having the connector connect to the container with wiring is not allowed anymore? That the connector has to be directly in
No,
the
it is
container?
allowed. It's just that you have to be able to see at the indicator light, voltage indicator, when you disconnect your container.
Okay.
So you don't have to, if you cannot see your indicator light, then there's hardly a reason why you should install one. And now you have to be able to watch at the indicator light before you open the connection that's next to it. If you can see your indicator light during opening the connection to the battery, everything's fine.
Okay, and the second question would be, since these rules imply a big change from the old ones, structurally and everything, do rules questions have to be asked again? Old rules questions?
Yes, every year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there more questions at the moment? Yes, we have one more here.
Je nachdem, also ein bisschen in der Nähe.
In the aerodynamic devices with the main hoop, there's never given if it's the front plane or the rear plane of the main hoop, and in every other section there's detected as the rear plane. So it's an aerodynamic device also the rear plane we have to cut there the limits?
So you mean there's rules where it's unclear if you use the front or the rear? Yeah. Please send us in the rules tracker exactly, and if it's not clear enough, we will clarify within the next weeks.
Okay, so another one here.
Normally what we try to do is if you measure distance to the rear, it's easier to take the front if you apply a caliper. But we ask this on the rules tracker, and we will answer you, and we will change if it's not making sense or if it's not clear enough.
So right now the use of helicoils in the securing fasteners is not mentioned. The motors that we used in the previous years were OEM parts that used helicoils. Are we still not allowed to use helicoils for the motor mounting without asking a rules question?
And Simon says yes.
Rules question.
He says a rules question, yeah. I mean, there is the mentioning of positive locking helicoils somewhere in the rules where it's an additional limitation for mounting parts. It's not mentioned on purpose within the given section about what's generally considered to be a safe connector. But in this specific case, you're also touching the point that if it's an OEM part, there is sometimes some exclusions, because we want, if you anyway decide to use an OEM part, maybe it's safer to use it as it is rather than to try to modify. It's the same for the throttle pedal sensor, for example. So therefore, as this is so specific, we probably also need some more details provided by you, and I ask you to use the rules tracker on this. And maybe the last question, yeah?
Rule T121 states there are no openings allowed in the driver's compartment other than the cockpit opening and for steering linkage.
Yeah.
What exactly are openings? Is the front bike head an opening? Is a maintenance hatch an opening if there's a lid on it?
It's about the bodywork. This is not a rule change compared to the years before. It's about the bodywork. So if you have a monocoque, of course, there is not such a big separation between the structural part and the bodywork. But in the end, if you put the reel in a ready to race condition, I should not be able to see on the driver's legs. because that is meant by it should be closed. But of course, if there is a tie rod coming out for steering or whatever, it needs to have a hole, and it can be with a bit of free play.
Okay, the FSAE rules allow suspension parts through the bodywork,
Yes.
but only
It's
steering
also
parts allowed here.
Um,
Only steering suspension parts are allowed here.
Yeah, it's also that we do not want to deviate. Maybe we need to rephrase if it's not clear enough, but there's no change intended compared to the SAE and compared to the last years.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. We have one more question for you.
Yeah,
and after
I
that,
have time.
Hi. In 2.17, you say that it's allowed to use a bolted primary structure attachment, and we have a side impact structure for a driver, and we want to build our accumulator container besides it, and we want to have an additional side impact structure. Are we allowed to bolt this? Because it's not mentioned in the rules.
Yeah, again, sorry, I need to tell you to use the rules tracker for this. I cannot answer from here now, unfortunately.
Okay. Then thank you for the questions. I think you will have more questions. You can find Sebastian throughout the day and come to him. You can use the rules tracker. I think that's a tool that we had in use quite a lot in the past already with the old rules. That's something that we may use even a bit more now with a fresh set of rules. Just use that. We have 15 minutes of break now. After this break, we go on here in this room with the static events with focus on cost report. And in the other room, we start with the FS driverless. See you then.